want us, so what I'm attempting to do today is a variation of Kevin's request, which is the way I understood Kevin's request is take us on a meditation that you would do, Greg. So this is a variation of that. And these three chat messages contain little pieces of information that have been really important to me since we last talked. Really important pieces of information since we last talked. So this first one about the master who encounters difficulty. She stops and gives herself to it. She doesn't cling to her own comfort. Thus, problems are not problems to her. I'm intrigued with this orientation. By the way, this is a translation from the Tao Te Ching. So this orientation is thousands of years old. And this particular piece is describing the behavior of a master. I'm not sure that I can define a master for you within that tradition, but I'd like to think that that master knows how to live well. I'd like to think that the master knows how to live well. So what does she do when she encounters a problem? Let's put it this way. She doesn't drink her way out of it. She doesn't drug her way out of it. She doesn't ignore it. And she doesn't just ram right through it. She pauses. She stops and she gives it her attention. To me, this is a lot like stretching. When I stretch, I'm seeking the places where there's tightness or stiffness in my body. And when there's attention, when there's awareness of such a place, the awareness flows to that sore or stiff spot. And almost inevitably, there's a softening. And the result is that that which was moments before was so stiff or sore is a little bit more at ease. It's similar for when I explore pain. There's almost always some discomfort or pain in my body. And when I bring attention to that pain, it is as though I can follow a path of pain. And as awareness is traveling the path of pain, the label pain loses its accuracy for what is being followed. To me, this is similar to encountering a difficulty, pausing and giving herself to it. Here's the last piece around this particular quote. Thus, problems are not problems to her. Things that other people would call problems, she doesn't call them problem. She might say difficulty, she might say hardship, but not problem. From my perspective, problem includes a mental, emotional orientation of this is fucked up. I don't like this. It shouldn't be this way. Now I'm angry. Now I'm full of self-pity. Now I'm blaming somebody or me for having this awful feeling. That is a problem. Okay, now I want to talk about SOS. Usually when we send out an SOS signal, we're sending out a signal for somebody to come and save us. That is not what this one is. This is soften, open, surrender. The SOS signal is being sent by us to the prefrontal cortex, the most recently developed part of our brain, to engage memory and thinking to help ourselves in a difficult situation. Soften, open, surrender. Remember when I was talking about stretching and looking for, seeking, scanning for tightness or soreness? When that awareness arrives at soreness, SOS, soften, open, surrender. A lot of those.
Open? Because you typed often.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was supposed to be open. Thank you, Kevin.
Okay.
Often. Yep, I see that now. Sorry. God, I'm so glad we have people like you, Kevin. Thank you. Okay, so coming back, the softening, the opening, those two, in at least to some degree, happen by themselves when awareness joins difficulty. Oh, Arlo, you got a thing going on. We're going to mute you for now, Arlo. You can unmute yourself when you're ready.
Like reminder to take the pill.
Oh, yeah. Good job. Take that pill.
Give
Okay.
one to Kevin.
Okay, so we're coming back to when we encounter difficulty, it's going to happen. What do? Send an SOS message to your brain. Soften, open, surrender. Okay, surrender is, it's a big deal word, particularly for those of us raised in the Western culture where winning is like high priority. So surrender sounds like the opposite of winning. It's like giving in to loss. That is not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is a form of letting go. Letting go of what? Letting go of the notion that things should be different than they are. Letting go of the idea that I shouldn't have pain. Letting go of the expectation that my life should be pain-free. It's a form of releasing mental emotional rigidity. Okay. All right, so the last piece. There is nothing here that doesn't belong. That's its own course to study. There is nothing in your present moment experience. There is nothing that doesn't belong. What if you believe that? For the sake of practice, we're going to not assume, we're going to try on that attitude. Here's a different way into that same place. Let's say that, like some of us, there's a lot of pain in our bodies, like right now. How is it that that pain doesn't belong? As much as we dislike it, as much as there's aversion, as much as we try to push it away, what would it mean that the pain actually belongs here? Here's how I answer that. That pain is an opportunity for release, for letting go, for waking up. Oof. We could be in pain and complain. I've done it a lot. Doesn't actually help me. But when there's pain and this awareness that this is difficult, this is uncomfortable, this is a form of suffering, I'm already in a different mental state that is much more inclusive, much broader in terms of how I interact with whatever happens to be uncomfortable in the moment. Here's a brief example. I spent the weekend at a little cabin on a lake. I'm responsible for taking the trash away from that place. So this morning I'm cleaning up in the kitchen and I have a little piece of paper towel that I want to put into the trash, but I've already taken the trash in a bag to the porch. So the trash is no longer super handy. Wham! I notice irritation, frustration. Now, how big is it? Like it's hard to measure how small it is. But what's different is noticing the frustration and the irritation and realizing, wow, it doesn't have to be this way. It's okay to walk 20 feet and put the paper towel in the trash. That's for me, that's an example of encountering difficulty, giving myself to it, and then the irritation, the frustration. Okay. So today's practice is a form of embodying these three ideas. Today's practice is a form of embodying these three ideas. I want, ideally, you're sitting. I'm looking at everybody. It looks like you're in sitting posture. Okay, so here's what I want you to pay attention to, are your sits bones. For this part of the practice, I want you to pay attention to your sits bones. So those are the bones at the bottom of your pelvis. There's a left one, there's a right one. I want you to sit in such a way that you can feel both of your sits bones. Now, if you're like me, one of those sits bones feels a little more comfortable, a little more at ease. You know what? I'm going to pause. I need to ensure that actually everybody knows what I'm talking about. The sits bones. Does anybody? Yeah, okay. Okay, I see one thumbs up, two thumbs up. Marion, are you okay with sits bones? Do you know what I'm talking about? All right, very good. Okay, so you're feeling your sits bones, and here's what I'd like you to do with your hand for now. As you inhale, your hand is, hang on, what's the word? Your hand is dancing the way the air is coming in. So we're going to do a few breaths that are only 1/3 of your capacity. So my hand will look like this. That's the inhale. Here's the exhale. So I'd like you to practice breathing at 1/3 your capacity and having your hand illustrate the air coming in and the air going out. Okay, so as you're doing this, close your eyes if it helps you to focus, Bring your attention inside to your sits bones and imagine that the air is going to the base of your pelvis where the sits bones are, and then it climbs up your spine, or it inflates more and more of your torso. And make your breaths bigger. And a little longer. Okay, now I'm going to talk to you while you do this. You're welcome to let the hand go if it's distracting. The main point now is to bring your attention to your sits bones and determine which sits bone feels a little more familiar, a little more like normal, a little more like what you might expect. That's the sits bone. I'd like you to imagine the breath rising up that side of your spine, inflating the whole torso. But it's mainly along the side up that is connected to the sits bone that feels familiar. So you're breathing more or less like usual, even though there's a lot more attention than normal. When you feel like you've got a sense of what it's like to breathe through that sits bone, bring your attention to the other sits bone. Allow yourself to breathe up through that sits bone, up through that side of the spine, inflating the torso and deflating the torso. If your body's like mine, this feels a little different, maybe awkward, maybe unfamiliar. There's juice here. There's power here. There's something valuable here. Stop and give yourself to this. You may notice that there are muscles or tendons that are tight or sore. You may notice that for you to have a full inhalation, parts of your back need to relax. And part of your front needs to relax. When you find something that's restricting your breathing, or there's a sense of numbness, stop and give yourself to that. As we progress through this practice, sooner or later, you'll notice that there's thinking about things that are not pertinent to what we're doing. Excellent. Stop. And SOS. Soften. Open. Surrender that thought. You can release the focus on the sits bone, or you're welcome to sustain that if it helps you to have a grounding or an anchor for your attention. Whatever you encounter, stop, soften, open, surrender. Whatever is happening belongs here. It has a place. It is an opportunity to awaken. Whatever awareness encounters, SOS. Encounter sleepiness, SOS. Encounter boredom, SOS. Encounter frustration, we are in training. We are in training. For the rest of our lives. What does it mean for you to encounter difficulty? Stop and give yourself to it. Instead of answering with words, let your experience be the answer to the question. If it feels like you're flailing and you don't know what to do, bring your attention to your sits bones and feel how the breath elongates up the sides of the body. I'm sorry, the sides of the spine. Even if awareness encounters something beautiful, like contentment or peace, SOS. You're doing great. We're going to keep with this for 3 more minutes. Yes, oh, yes. Two minutes to go. Well, if your eyes are closed, keep them closed while we finish this practice. Plant a few seeds of flowers. Just scan yourself for any sense of peace or quiet or calm or contentment. Water those seeds with awareness and appreciation. to whatever extent those beautiful feelings are present. Acknowledge them. Make room for them. Okay. And while your eyes are still closed, recall as best you can the 3 messages I sent in the chat. In about 10 seconds, I'll say them again. For now, use your mind to remember. Okay, so shortest one first. There is nothing here that doesn't belong. SOS. Soften. Open. Surrender. When a master encounters difficulty, she stops and gives herself to it. She does not cling to her own comfort. Thus, problems are not problems for her. Okay, so touch your body anywhere where it feels like that touch helps to bring into your body whatever truth shows up in those statements and in your practice. It's a little bit like closing a lid so that something stays inside. SOS. There's nothing that doesn't belong. Encounter difficulty, stop, give yourself to it. Without clinging to comfort. Problems are not problems. Okay. Imagining that your system has embodied whatever truth is there for you. Let your hands be wherever they'll be comfortable. And if your eyes have been closed, then let the lids come open, reconnect with your location, and reconnect with us here on the screen.